Hello! Welcome to the Belo Doflamingo matchup guide. So how does Belo beat Doflamingo? By doing her best. Alright guys, we're going to start with the cards that you want to see in your opening hand. The most obvious one is Belo. You want to be able to play this on one so that you can put out a character, and you want to be able to refill your hand. You want to go second. Always, there's maybe one matchup that you want to go first, and that's the mirror, but you're going second, so you drop Belo, you refill your hand to 5, and it's a great day. Or 6, sorry. You want to see 4 cost Ivankov, specifically 4 cost Ivankov, because you absolutely want to be able to spam out the board for multiple turns. Whatever you play off of Ivankov will typically be the target of your opponent's law, and if that is the case, then you just get to use this Ivankov several times. You want a Kuma. Kuma can KO Sengoku Buggy and Perona. Getting rid of any or all of those will immensely help with the Law situation, because if they have to bounce Law or Jinbei to bounce one of your own things, it's way better for you than if they bounce Sengoku or Buggy or Perona or Teach. I guess they could bounce because it's cheaper. Just anything that is low value for them to bounce that would allow you to to have their engine go off more consistently. You want to get rid of that, and Kuma's a card that does that. Koala, one of your 2/2Ks that you run her and Kuma, and Koala is also a power reducer, which is why she is the one in your hand right now. This card could also be Raise Max, but you want a 2K. This card could be Kuma, but you want a power reducer. Koala is both in one. She's the perfect card. However, a 2K or a power reducer is what is trying to be represented here, and she is both. You want Lindbergh. You absolutely want Lindbergh. It's also ideal if Lindbergh is your top life, but if you have Lindbergh here, you want to be able to cheat it out with Ivankov, because it is going to be how you control their board. Just the same way Kuma does, only it hits 1,000 power higher. You also want to be able to see Stage if you can. It's, in my opinion, the replacement for Betty. It allows you to filter so much. You can see more Bettys, which is great to play out. And I love Stage. I love this card. 5 cost Ivankov is another card that you could potentially want to see in your opening hand. Not because it's like ideal or anything, but you want to be able to find this card because you want to be able to spam out stuff. And it's also because you run 3, or this list runs 3, so it's a lot easier to pitch this and find a second one than it would be to, say, find a second Koala, seeing as I only run 2 in my list. Your ideal curve, you want to go second. Ideally, you're going to play 2 1-drops, that being Belo and Belo, or Belo and Raise Max. You want to be able to refill your hand and not go too low in resources. So Belo is fantastic because now you have 3 attackers for the next turn. Belo Raise Max is also a great play because it allows you to establish higher and harder KO thresholds for your Kuma and Lindbergh. So establishing it early and then either triggering out a Lindbergh or playing out a Kuma the next turn. With this, it allows you to control your opponent's board just that much more. Your 4-down turn is your decision turn. It's a really big decision turn because you have 2 core strategies that you can try and implement against Doflamingo. Both are valid, and what your 2 strategies are kind of going against is, do I think they have Law or do I not think they have Law? If you think that you have Law, or you know they have Law, you go with the low-cost character strategy, and you play Koalas and Kumas and Raise Maxes and Bettys as much as you can to get as many characters on board as you can that they're not going to bounce. The alternative strategy is going to be your 4 cost Ivankov and playing out a 4 cost character on top of that. However, I'm going to say that if you're going about this strategy, you need to have played something on turn 1, because if you go Ivankov into a second thing, on 5 Don, they can play Law twice, and if you commit a whole turn to playing Ivankov and a second thing, and then you get double lawed, it's I mean, I'm not going to say it's over, but it's basically over. The 6 Don turn is the most important. The 6 and 8 Don turns are the most important turns in my opinion. So the 8 Don turn is kind of, it's a turn that has 2 options available to it depending on what the state of the game is. So it can be either with the coupled with the 6 Don turn or the 10 Don turn. So the 6 and 8 Don turn together being, you have to fill your board, and if you're healthy enough to do so, you want to do that with Koala and Koala if your hand is good enough, because going 6 cost Koala, 4 cost Ivankov into Lindbergh or 3 cost Karasu or even 4 cost Karasu, that's an amazingly strong play line that gets you potentially 14 Don in value, 14,000 being attack value, but 14 Don in value, just right there with those characters for 6 Don. The alternative being, if your hand's not that great, or if you're kind of not so healthy, like you only have 1 life left and you don't want to go down to 0 because they have Perfume Femur, you go ahead and use 5 cost Ivankov, and you want to get lucky and get 4 cost Ivankov, but again, you can't control what this is. There's nothing to filter the top, so play what you get. Hopefully you don't whiff. Statistically very unlikely that you whiff, but it is technically possible. On the 6 and 8 Don turn, you're also controlling their board. This is mainly the 6 Don turn. This is always the 6 Don turn, but depending on how the game state is, it might also need to be your 8 Don turn. Lindbergh, I am running 1 6-cost Sabo. This card has been an absolute game changer for Dofi. I do feel like I'm winning the game more often now because I do have this card in the list. The magic KO threshold number is 7,000, and very often you're able to hit 8,000. So 7,000 isn't that good because it's 1 power reducer in Koala or Raise Max, and it usually means that you are hitting like Teach and Perona, because nothing is at that 7,000 power point. Well, I guess Perona and their 5k bodies, so Jinbei Law and Crocodile, all of those you can use this for. The card has come up. You'll see in the accompanying video, the Doflamingo gameplay video, that it is a card that can clear your opponent's board if you're playing it right, and if you clear your opponent's board while establishing a 6k, it does a lot for you. And then the 8 and 10 Don turn, depending on the state of the game, the 8 Don turn can either be the turn you try and finish them, or it's going to be the 10 Don turn, and these are the cards that you want to see at the end of the game to really help you finish off your opponent. Monkey D. Dragon is an obvious because it buffs your leader, and it can go to a 12k finisher itself. Inazuma, you can play multiple of these down, and they can give each other rush with leader ability. It is a fantastic play. Karasu, if you have 4 cost Ivankov down, is free. Or if you have 5 attackers. I was playing a game the other day where I had 5 attackers, 8 Don, Ivankov, and 4 cost Ivankov on board. So mathematically, the most beneficial attack, the highest value attack, was to play out the 3 Karasus that I had in hand. So I did 4 Don for one, 4 Don for the other, and then I cheated out the 3rd one with Ivankov's ability, and all 3 of those, because I had 5 attackers, gave me more overall value than if I had just distributed my Don. Very rarely are you going to be in situations like that, which is why I specified at the beginning that 4 cost Ivankov cheating this out is generally going to be the way that this card gives you value, but it does give you, for every character, 1,000 extra attack power per Karasu played. Doflamingo has a very similar core strategy to us, where they have a character that can, a 4-cost character that can cheat out other 4-cost characters. They have characters that can KO other characters. They play off the top of their deck with leader ability. We play off the top of our deck with 5-cost. Ivankov, we cheat out cards with 4-cost Ivankov and 6-cost Koala. They cheat out with Jinbei. We KO their stuff with our on plays with Kuma. They bounce our stuff with Law. We're able to KO their stuff as well with Lindbergh. It's a very similar core strategy. They just can search and find their options more consistently than us, and one of their cards fundamentally ruins our core strategy, which is why it does feel so substantially unfavored. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you want to do. If you have any questions about the future matchups or the future of Belo Betty, I will be putting out a end of OP09, OP10 prediction video for Belo Betty, so stay tuned for that, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.